It is widely known that excess body weight is associated with many health conditions like hypertension, type 2 diabetes, stroke, and many others. Now researchers have found an association between overweight and cognitive impairment. In 2022, JAMA Network Open published Canadian researcher study in which they aimed to investigate the association of adiposity on vascular brain injury and cognitive scores. Researchers determined the adiposity of more than 9,000 participants. They measured both total body fat and visceral adipose tissue. Visceral adipose tissue is the fat that predominantly sits around organs in the abdominal cavity. It is measured because previous studies have associated visceral fat with increased morbidity and a higher mortality risk. Interesting that visceral fat can even increase the risk of breast or colorectal cancer, or even Alzheimer's disease. But let's get back to our research. All participants undertook two cognitive tests: the digital symbol substitution test and the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, to assess a range of cognitive functions. The researchers adjusted the scores for cardiovascular risk factors, educational level, and MRI-detected vascular brain injury, which is known to be associated with cognitive impairment. The researchers found that higher total body fat and higher visceral adipose tissue were both significantly associated with lower cognitive scores. The association was greater on the digital symbol substitution test, which assesses processing speed, than on the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, which is a multidimensional cognitive test. Compared with those in the lowest quartile of adiposity, the performance of those in the highest quartile was equivalent to an additional 3 years of cognitive aging. We can't say that these results are unexpected because adiposity is well known to be associated with increased cardiovascular risk factors, and that those with increased risk of cognitive functions decline. In 2018, in Dublin, researchers found that in older adults, central adiposity was a stronger predictor of poor cognitive performance than body mass index. It can be hard to assess the association and identify if visceral adiposity is a causative factor of reduced cognitive scores or just correlation, but the association between these two factors is clear. Some authors suggest that inflammation may play a role in cognitive impairment in those with overweight and obesity. In 2020, a UK study involving more than 15,000 individuals found higher levels of plasma C-reactive protein, an inflammatory marker, in those with high body mass index and a high waist-to-hip ratio. Some researchers think adiposity can often go hand in hand with other chronic diseases, such as hypertension, which could be a separate mechanism. Obesity could be associated with reduced blood flow to the brain, which may increase the risk of vascular microcellular damage, which could lead to reduction in cognitive test scores. 2021 study examined the association of body mass index, waist-to-hip ratio, waist circumference, and physical activity with gray matter cerebral blood flow in older adults. Scientists found that a 1 cm increase in waist size gave the same reduction in blood flow as 1 year of aging. In 2019 conducted study, which aim was to establish the association between obesity and cognitive function among healthy school adolescents, found that overall cognitive functions in markedly obese participants were in the lower range compared to healthy adolescents. They showed significant impairment in their cognitive functions. The results convinced that school children with higher body mass index should reduce their weight in order to have cognitive functions within the normal range. In 2021 study named Structural Brain Changes Associated with Overweight and Obesity, researchers found that obesity is associated with damage to various tissues and is related to functional and structural changes in the brain. A long-term high-fat diet reduces the number of synapses of hypothalamic neurons and increases neural apoptosis. Other studies found that obesity is an important risk factor for the onset and progression of various neurodegenerative diseases. Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer, and multiple sclerosis can be initiated by various metabolic changes related to the damage of the CNS by obesity. That's all for today's episode. Please subscribe to this channel and like this video. You can comment below on what topic you would like to see in the next episode. Please support our channel at Patreon so that we could make more evidence-based healthcare and medical knowledge videos.